Hello everybody, this is Alan with HeadphoneReviewHQ.com, and today I'm bringing you a review of the Beyerdynamic Custom One Pros. So let's start with the build quality and the fit and finish on the Custom One Pros. These are a very sleek looking set of headphones. They're solid black with a few red accents on them, and they have almost an industrial look with the removable plates here. They have the bolts on the edge that you can remove, and the headband also can be taken off, but even this doesn't have the Beyerdynamic logo like most of their headphones do. On the side here you've got the gray plastic piece with the Beyerdynamic logo on it as well. And pretty much everything about this particular set of headphones is removable or replaceable. As you'll be able to see in the video here, you can take these bolts out and you can actually take this off, and this faceplate right here, you can remove that and replace it with a different one. You can, if you want to replace the ear pads, they're very easy to do. They basically just pull right off here on the edge. I don't know if you can see that. They've got like a little lip there. You can take them off, and to put them back on, you basically just twist them back into place. It's got a little notch here at the top that you use to slide it back into place. And the cable is removable as well, which is very nice, so you can replace that if anything goes wrong. So that's the custom part of the Custom One Pros as far as the look is concerned. But the unique feature, and what most people will be interested in when buying these headphones, are these bass ports right here. So when you look, what you've got here is you've got adjustable bass. This, when you've got all the circles or the outlets open, that is the max amount of bass that you can get out of these headphones. And that's some pretty rumbling bass right there, even out of just my iPhone 3GS. If you pop it up one, that when you have just two of these ports open here, that's probably slightly boosted. Actually, it's even just a tiny bit over what like the M50s are out of the box. When you come down one, this is pretty neutral right here. This is where most, where I would call neutral ground on bass is. Then when you close it up, the bass is almost anemic. So this is the custom part of the actual bass. And when you do modify the bass in these, it does kind of go up into the mids a little bit, but very unique feature. And while it clicks into place on each one of these, you can hear it snapping there. One of the interesting parts is you're not stuck to just doing that. I found that doing this like halfway right there was a nice sound. That's about like what the ATH M50 sound like out of the box for you guys looking for a reference point. So open there. If you, I mean, you literally could just tweak this as much as you want, and you can tell noticeable differences at each level. I found that I use that quite a bit depending on the type of music I was listening to. So that's that part of the build. And again, a solid build quality. I mean, these, as most Beyerdynamics are, these will last you a long time as long as you just treat them remotely well. And that's pretty much it. Again, the ear cushions, they are pretty comfortable. Oh, as far as the clamping pressure, these are a little aggressive. I mean, if you stick this, if you're sensitive to tight pressure on your head, these might, I don't know if they've loosened up at all for me over time. A lot of people will suggest things like putting a pillow in between headphones and leaving them like that for quite a while, and it helps loosen up the metal, because this is just metal inside here. So maybe that would loosen it up a little bit, but they are fairly aggressive, so they'll stay on your head. It didn't bother me as far as the pressure was concerned, but I know some people are sensitive to that. Let's talk about the bass on the Custom One Pros. As mentioned in the build section, these really do change the dynamics of the sound as far as the Custom One Pros are concerned. If you want beats type bass, you open these things all the way up and you will get a tremendous amount of volume in the bass. And what's really cool about that is, even out of my iPhone 3GS, which doesn't have the strongest amp on it, you can get ample amounts of bass out of this, and it sounds pretty good. I will say, when you open these all the way up, the bass isn't as tight, but you get that volume, and a lot of people, that's what they're looking for. They don't care if it's just, you know, to the millisecond accurate. It still sounds good. It is a little bit looser, so you're not going to get the complete accuracy that you would. And when you step it down a little bit and you pop it up one, You will notice that the bass gets tighter, it's a little bit more controlled, but you do lose that as some of the impact. Even with the two ports open, like I mentioned, this is still pretty impactful bass. And as you step it down one more, I found that with one open, it was a little light for me, even though that's probably very neutral. I found that like going in between the having two open and like doing 1.5, that was almost perfect for when you're listening to just regular types of genres like I don't know, country or maybe any kind of vocal type thing. That was a decent amount of bass right there so that it didn't overpower the song. Now when I was listening to pop or hip hop or dubstep or anything like that, I would toggle a lot of times between wide open and maybe just one step down. The only time I found myself using the completely closed is when I was listening to something like a podcast where they used a bass heavy type microphone and I wanted to get that out so it was easier to understand. Then I would step it down all the way and close it up. But overall, the bass on these are absolutely incredible. They're accurate, the notes are very discernible one from another, and it sounds lovely. I will tell you one thing that I noticed. If you're listening, and this probably won't be an issue because if you're listening to rap or any kind of thing that requires just, crunching amounts of bass, chances are you're gonna have this open. One thing I did notice is if I was listening to a song that had quite a bit of bass in it, if it was stepped down to like say one open here, or the smallest hole open, or even down to none, you could hear the bass straining. Like it was struggling because it wanted to be able to move that driver and there wasn't enough air, and so you could actually hear like a strained sound. And it was funny because I was listening to something at one point and I was like, that doesn't sound right, what's wrong? And it sounded muddy and almost like it was, I don't know, it was bizarre, but opening it up made it perfect. So if you find yourself listening to any kind of bass heavy music, you are definitely going to want to open these ports up, otherwise you will hear some driver strain. The mid-range on these, in my opinion, is very good. It's slightly laid back. They are very similar to the ATH M50s by Audio-Technica in that regard. Just ever so slightly recessed, and in my opinion I enjoy that a little bit because I find when I'm listening to female vocalists like Adele's, Rebecca Ferguson's, Carrie Underwood, they have a tendency when they start really hitting those notes high and they are putting a lot of volume in their voice, it's almost difficult to listen to. Again, I kind of like that sound signature and they do sound good. They still have all the detail you're looking for there, and they have a nice smooth sound. So you're not losing anything, it's just a little bit laid back. The treble on the Custom One Pros. Again, these excel in the treble. They do a nice job with the detail. It resolves just a ton of information from music, and it does so without being harsh or sibilant or piercing or anything like that. They do have a nice airy open sound to them. And again, you'll be able to hear the movement on strings. You'll be able to hear the wind and air, or the air and wind instruments. They do a great job resolving detail in music, and all without becoming just, fatiguing. So again, wonderful job in the treble. Let's talk about powering the Custom One Pros. These are a very low impedance set of headphones, which usually means that you don't need a lot of power to drive them. Well, they also happen to be low on the sensitivity side of things too, so it kind of counteracts the lower impedance. They are 16 ohm set of headphones. They have a 96 decibel sensitivity level. So I found that with my iPhone 3GS, when I turned it up to about 85%, these would go about moderately loud. Once you hit about 90 to 95%, those last 2 or 3 notches on the volume level, you could start hearing strain in the amp, and it came through in these headphones. So if you plan on really cranking these things up, either you need to have a nicer player like a Cowan or a Sansa Clip or something like that, or you'll probably want to invest in getting a set or a portable amplifier. And I've got several reviews on my channel, so check those out. They don't need a ton of power, so you don't need a desktop headphone amplifier or anything like that. But any number of portable amps will push these things well past where you should ever listen to them. So that's the power on these. They do a decent job, but they could use a little extra juice. One thing I like to talk about when I'm reviewing headphones is the noise that these block out and then the amount of sound these keep in, and so it doesn't bother people around you. So as far as the internal isolation, these actually do a pretty nice job of muting a lot of sound around you. I have a computer on over here that you can probably unfortunately hear in the mic, but I can just barely hear it. It's lower than a whisper right now, and when I take these off, I can actually hear the fan going pretty decently. I mean, it's not super loud, but these will muffle out conversation, so that's a nice thing. Now, as far as what you'll hear if you were sitting around me while I was playing my music, the mic right now is about 3.5, 4 feet from me, and here I am. I'm going to crank this up. I've got this at about 90%, so. And just so that you would get an idea, I had the ports all the way open because that would actually create the most sound leakage, obviously. So that was the ports all the way open, and that's what you'd hear if you were sitting about 3.5, 4 feet away from me, which hopefully you're not going to have anybody on top of you like that while you're listening. A note on burn-in with the Custom One Pros. I usually don't even talk about burn-in on headphones because in a lot of cases they sound pretty good out of the box. These did not. As a matter of fact, when I first opened these and put them on, I was like, oh man, I really don't just want to have to trash a set of Beyerdynamics when it'll be the first pair that I've absolutely hated. Well, come to find out, I had tried these on various different levels and it sounded like I was listening to music in a hallway. Like everything sounded like it was sort of tinny and reverberated and far away. And I literally said, it can't be this. So what I ended up doing is I just turned them on and let them play at low to moderate levels for probably 2 or 3 straight days. I mean, I absolutely just let these things burn in for a long time before I even put them back on. And sure enough, these things opened up, they calmed down, they brought the sound back to where it should be. Everything didn't feel like it was far away, and they sound beautiful. So I can only imagine that maybe even after another 100 or 200 hours on these things would just sound absolutely phenomenal. But do know that when you get these things, you will absolutely have to burn them in, because without it, you're going to be sorely disappointed with the sound that's coming out of these. After a good 50 hours, you should be happy putting these things on your head. So please do that. Overall sound quality on the Custom One Pros, I fell in love with these headphones. These are now going to be one of maybe 3 pairs that I will always recommend in the sub $200 range. And these are for a niche following, and not just a niche following in that you should only get these for any kind of genre. These sound good with every single genre I threw at them, and it depended on where I put the bass port. So if you're listening to country, then you might want to dial it down a tone. If you're listening to rap or dubstep or R&B or hip hop or anything like that, a lot of times I would find myself turning it wide open just so I could get that pounding bass. If I was listening to rock, I like a little bit of bass in my rock because I want to hear the guitar strums and the drum hits. So I would typically hit probably around the with all but one open. So in the case when I was listening to vocalist, typically you're not stuck with wherever these things snap into place. I found myself doing 1.5 ports open because that got me a very natural, neutral, balanced sound. And I really enjoyed that. I love the fact that I could easily tailor these things to the music I was listening to. And that's a huge thing. I mean, that gives you a lot of flexibility without having to carry on a bunch of equipment or expensive equipment just to listen to your music. So in that regard, these are an absolutely stellar set of headphones. And again, they are audiophile quality grade sound. I mean, you'll know it because it's a very involving, deep, and a lush sound to it. The treble, the mid-range, and the bass, none of them overpower anything else, and they are all just super detailed. The bass, while it can get loose if you open up the ports, is just beautiful sounding when you dial it down, and you get a very involving sound. So again, a wonderful set of headphones. I want to thank Beyerdynamic for sending these out for the review. Again, I love these headphones. I think they're a tremendous value. It's a nice entry into high-end audio sound and giving you the flexibility to do what you want. And a lot of people nowadays love to customize, so these things will keep a lot of people happy for a lot of different reasons. So again, thank you Beyerdynamic for sending these out. If you guys have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the feedback form below, whether you're on YouTube or on my site at headphonereviewhq.com. And as always, I get back to you just as soon as I can. You know, it's usually within the same day. Sometimes it's a day or two later, depending on whether it's the weekend. And please do, you know, you guys go over, check me out, like me on Facebook. If I see that people are doing that, then I'll start including more frequent updates on what I'm doing or what's coming next up there. And same thing at Twitter. I've got my links below. And as always, if you found this review helpful, please leave me a thumbs up. It really does help me know what you guys are interested in, what you're looking for, and it helps other people come find these and help them decide where they actually want to spend their money. Because I mean, you know, $200 isn't cheap, and people, when they look at the sea of headphones out there, it helps them know which ones they should go after. And these, again, are highly recommended. One of two or three pairs that I've listened to that I will recommend under $200. So again, this has been Alan with headphonereviewhq.com. Please do leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you know, tell your friends about me and send them over my way, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.